Hello and welcome to the SEGA News Bits. I'm your host George, and with me is Professor K. Right?
Well, hey, I'm gonna bust into your head through your cute little ears and blow your minds with my sexy voice and out-of-sight sounds.
And today we're going to be talking about Jet Set Radio Evolution. What is Jet Set Radio Evolution? Well, if you guys didn't know, we did a story on this the other day. Basically, Dinosaur Games, a developer, an indie developer, made a pitch for Sega for a game called Jet Set Radio Evolution. And it was kind of weird. It was like a visual proof of like a game they could create. The detail in the video, in the trailer they posted, was like kind of vague. So I tweeted the CEO of the company, and he basically told me that they had these models done, like they want, I guess they're fans of Jet Set Radio, and they wanted to make a sequel and pitch it to Sega. So they made these models, 3D models, and they showed them to Sony at GDC 2017, and Sony said they looked great and they wanted to see them in motion, and they were interested, I guess. And personally, I think Sony thought that this was just a generic game. They probably don't know what Jet Set Radio is. I don't expect them to know every Sega game of all time. And so they came with I guess they did this trailer that's playing in the background, and they sent it to Sega, and Sega refused. Like, they said no. So a lot of people online have been kind of angry about this because they want a new Jet Set Radio, and they just, you know, it's easy to want stuff, but to actually create quality games, it's a little harder. So this company, Dinosaur Games, first of all, is 3 people working at the company, and they mostly done products for like VR, for like, there's one for McDonald's, like a VR app they did for them. So it's stuff like that where it's more visual design, so I can see why they put this together. He also confirmed that it was put together in a week, which is kind of outstanding if you think about it. And they have their own visual style, and they're calling it Jet Set Radio Evolution. So I just want to say the first part of this trailer thing, I don't really like the way that they changed it. Like some of the little things, like the outline that's white, it would work, but like all these new video game engines, they have this bloom effect, right? And this game has that, and then the white line, so it doesn't really match. Like, I think the black would have really worked here, like, better, like the original games. Yeah. And this is like an evolution of Jet Set Radio Future, so it's like a direct sequel, which is interesting. Yeah. And the sense of speed I didn't like, but that's my thing on that. Oh, and too much green.
Oh, yeah. It looks like The Matrix.
Yeah, it looks like The Matrix. No Jet Set Radio game had this much green in it. Like, it was always, you know, varied. Yeah. Okay, so what do you not like about this trailer?
You know I'm gonna go there. Well, I mean, first off, in terms of who's developing it, I always feel like Jet Set Radio should be kept within Sega, you know, or at the very least be from Japanese developers, because it's such a Japanese game. I've written so much about the game over the past, I don't know, 10 years, and I've done so much research, and it just, time and time again, it comes back to Japanese culture and what the developers remember growing up, you know, like in the 90s, what it was like to be a young Japanese person and what was interesting to them and what kind of music and what visuals. And I just feel like you look at this and it just looks like a slightly tweaked Jet Set Radio Future. It doesn't look like a third Jet Set Radio, which to me has always been something that should just look insanely different from the last two.
And that's the thing too, though. We're gonna be like, it's nice to have a third game into this, but then you don't want the third game to just be a copy of, like, this is what Jet Set Radio should be. It's kind of like when you watch those movies where they make a sequel, kind of like Stranger Things 2, where it's like they use the same formula as the last season. So you're like, oh, they're gonna do this here. Oh yeah, they did this last season, so we have to do it this season. That's what this kind of reminds me of.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it could be good, but in the end of the day, you want something original, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think about the sense of speed here? Like, it's all slow, and this is just the concept art, so it might not even be like that, what they had in mind. But what do you think about what they showed here?
Yeah, I mean, it does look very slow. You know, when they do the speed lines coming at you, he's going like at walking speed compared to the other games. The models are really, really pretty, though. It's just, I don't know, it doesn't really do it for me. It's not what I would envision. And also, you know, there's that other pitch that was made for a Wii game.
This is a way better pitch than the other one.
Yeah, for sure. That one, I believe, was just some concept art, 2D stuff. This one, you know, actually looks like it could be a game. I didn't like that one. I don't like this one. What's with adding scarves, like, to characters? So, I mean, to be honest, my ideal third Jet Set Radio game would be like a Jet Set Radio Retro, and it takes place in like 1950s Japan. I think that would be pretty cool.
With Steam and stuff?
Not with Steam, but just like boob tube TVs and, you know, like, I mean, you've seen like Japanese electronics from the 50s and 60s. You know, it's very unique, and if you've ever seen any like films from that era, it's pretty cool. I mean, you could get some like, I don't know, Godzilla stuff going on, some really retro police, you know, with their giant guns and stuff. It would be fun. I'd like that.
But about this game, so let's look at the model for Beat. You have something to say about the Beat model, right? I mean, you've played and you've drawn a lot of Jet Set Radio characters.
Yeah. I don't really like it. It looks like the Jet Set Radio Future design with minor modifications, and there's so many little details that it's almost like I wouldn't want to draw this. You know what I mean? Like, look at, like, there's a stripe going down the middle. I think why Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future's designs work is that they aren't that complex. But this one, there's just too much going on, and I just feel like they should have started from, you know, like a blank piece of paper and drawn, you know, like what would a new Beat look like. And with this one, it's more like, let's take the Jet Set Radio Future model and, you know, trick it out.
Exactly. I think this is what they did, really. Because, like, well, I mean, personally, what version of Beat do you like better, the first one or the sequel?
I like the... I think I like the sequel one more.
Really? See, that's the weird thing with me. Like, I really like the art style in Jet Set Radio 1, and then, like, the sequel it's very different. It's the same characters, but it's, like, totally different art style. So, I mean, I don't hate it, but, you know.
Yeah.
And then we have Gum.
Yeah, I don't really like it. Oh, there's all these elbow pads, and is she wearing knee pads and the scarf? Again, it looks like the Jet Set Radio Future model, but then they just added a bunch more stuff to it.
Yeah, I think this is the trend. I think this is what they're trying to do. Like, they're evolving the franchise, I guess. But, like, it doesn't seem like they took it to the next level. Like, they're just saying, like, oh, we know that you guys like this game, so we used the same model and then built on it.
Yeah. And then there's that giant robot.
What do you think about that?
It looks like just a ripoff of Roboy from Jet Set Radio Future. In fact, I think that's who it might be, like a new... And I don't know, like, you said it took them how long to develop this?
1 week.
It looks like they took assets from Jet Set Radio Future and just added more polys. And I don't know, I mean, maybe... I'm not an expert.
They probably did.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on these things, but just it feels like this isn't all original assets, especially the city. Like, how can you make that entire city? And that's why I think they did the green, because the green kind of hides the fact that it's assets from Jet Set Radio Future.
And as far as the sequel, to me, I think one of the things that if they do bring this back that it really needs is solid controls. Like, I love Jet Set Radio, I love Jet Set Radio Future, but those games were rushed out the door. Like, I feel like the controls, the platforming, I always think every game needs polish, but this game, it could have used a lot of polish. I mean, I'm not saying it ruins the games. They're some of my favorite games of all time. But if they do bring them back, I want this game to be polished in controls, because I don't think they need that much work in graphics. It has an art style that would work on any console, I think, at this time. And it could be a big open world game, too. So,
yeah.
But Dinosaur Games did say that they're going to be working on this game anyway without the SEGA license. And they're going to release it. So what's your thoughts on that, so we can close it up?
Well, I mean, they're really going to have to change a lot of it unless they want the SEGA legal team after them. We already have Hover, which has yet to have I think it's wide release. It hasn't hit the consoles yet, so I don't really know why they want to make Jet Set Radio. Why don't they make a new game? You know what I mean? Like, make something totally fresh. And again, that's kind of why I don't want them developing it, because it doesn't seem like that's the right mindset that should go into a Jet Set Radio game.
So what do you guys think about Jet Set Radio Evolution? Is it something you guys would want to see Sega do or pursue, or do you want Sega to keep it in-house and be more, I guess, strict with their IPs? Let us know in the comments below. If you like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe if you haven't, and like the video.